States. Now, it is the staple diet for half of the global population, but the soaring cost of rice is now threatening to trigger food riots and political unrest across Asia. In the past month alone, its price has risen by more than 50% in some areas, and the United Nations has warned of the threat of worldwide unrest from rising food prices. The position is being made worse by countries imposing restrictions on their rice exports and threatening harsh punishments for hoarders. Global costs are being driven up by a number of factors. Record oil prices have increased the cost of farming and transporting food. A growing population and booming economies in China and India have increased demand for meat and dairy products, prompting more farmers to turn land over to cattle grain. At the same time, cereals, which previously had been used for food, are being diverted into the emerging biofuels market to produce the likes of ethanol. And bad weather has also destroyed some crops. That's combined to push up the global price of rice by a fifth since January. Bangladesh has seen an increase of a third in just 3 months. India, Vietnam and Cambodia have imposed a ban on rice exports to ease pressure on prices. And as Inigo Gilmore now reports from India and Thailand, the world's largest exporter of rice, the high prices are likely to have the biggest impact on some of the world's poorest people.
They're taking no chances with this year's harvest on the farms in Suphanburi. Alongside the heavy machinery, there's a new feature: shotguns. The message is clear: hands off my rice. This is the heart of Thailand's rice-growing region, and there's great anticipation around this season's crop harvest. With many countries facing shortages, this rice has never been more prized. So prized, in fact, that for the first time this area has seen significant and organised thefts of the crop by outside gangs. That's why local farmers are keeping a close watch on this harvest.
We've been farming here since the time of my ancestors, and nothing like this had ever happened. We've never had to guard the land, but after the price of rice suddenly shot up, this rice theft started happening.
The price of rice has exploded in Thailand, with the standard export rice shooting up 52% in just the past month. A windfall for some, but a worry for many.
This is like a tsunami to the rice industry. It comes big waves. But actually, you could observe it over the years. You could see something was developing, but most people just did not pay attention to it.
Prices have surged alongside rising energy and production costs, the effects of climate change and a squeeze on land for production. And they've spiked as African and Asian countries rush to secure rice stocks amid fears of social unrest. Over in India, a country where millions live a hand-to-mouth existence, concerns about securing those domestic stocks prompted the government to ban rice exports last week. At this wholesale market on the edge of Mumbai, poor slum kids come to scavenge for a few precious spilled grains. The fear is that if dwindling local stocks are not maintained, many more will have to turn to the begging bowl.
Being an election year, the government is taking care that the prices should not go up. They are trying to see that the demand becomes lesser and the supply line is maintained. That is why they have banned the export of rice.
How would it affect people in India if the price of rice was to go up?
If the prices go up, there will be hue and cry in India. The all public will make a lot of noise, and there are chances, if the elections are there, the present government may fall down.
India is traditionally one of the largest exporters of rice in the world, and this new ban is causing alarm. The Indian government hopes it will stabilise the price of rice here, but the fear is it may push up prices elsewhere. Signs are that's already happening. India's ban follows an export ban by another major exporter, Vietnam, and all this is putting pressure on Thailand, the world's only remaining major exporter. The authorities are considering a cap on exports amid domestic concern over shortages. The country may boast bounteous reserves, but many wonder if stocks can match mounting international demand.
Most of the time we can do about 700 to 800,000 tons a month. But we have been running at 1 million tons pace, which is too much. And right now, I believe that in the next 2-3 months, our volume gonna drop drastically. Otherwise, Thailand will run out of rice, which we cannot allow that to happen.
This alarms international aid agencies, already scrambling to provide for Asia's poor in an increasingly expensive yet shrinking market. In Cambodia at the weekend, hundreds took to the streets to protest over rice shortages. The World Food Programme says those shortages are forcing it to suspend a feeding programme for 500,000 Cambodian schoolchildren. The organisation has appealed for £80 million in emergency funds, with particular concern for countries like Bangladesh.
Bangladesh has recently suffered from a devastating cyclone that has wiped out at least 10, maybe 20% of their overall rice crop. In addition, it has other natural disasters, it has a very large population.
The WFP, which previously relied on Indian rice, has turned for the first time to more expensive Thai rice exports to supply Bangladesh. But it's just a temporary reprieve.
Countries that were exporting rice, not only around Asia but around the world, are no longer able to do so. For the countries of South Asia, this present food crisis is a tipping point.
For millions of the poorest living in those countries, it's a tipping point over which they have no control. And a prolonged rice crisis could be devastating. Inigo Gilmore, Channel 4 News, Mumbai.
Joining